Hello, and welcome to my podcast, Good Grief. My name is Dr. Christine Malone, and in this podcast, we talk about trauma, tragedy, and survival. In each episode, I will interview someone that has gone through grief in some way, and we will discuss the impact it has had on their life. By sharing these stories, we hope that others won't feel alone should they be going through similar situations. Enjoy. Here we go. Okay, listeners, thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. My guest today is going to talk about the loss of her beloved grandmother, and how that has impacted her in her life, and as she's gone, she has her own kids and so on, and how that's all worked out. So, guest, if you would introduce yourself and just tell us a bit about your Nan.
I'm Kim. I have three boys. One is 6, 2, and 10 months. I've been married to my husband for about 10 years. And my Nan, she was pretty awesome. She would do anything and everything as much as she could anyway to help out. She would watch all of us, when we were out of school and stuff, but she would watch my brother and my little cousin one day a week, and she kind of carried that tradition on and would watch Ben for me one day a week um, while I was working. And then were always out at her house for like dinners, and or like we would go out and do like crafts and for the different holidays. So for like Halloween, Thanksgiving, go on shopping trips all the time, and just like really hang out. And anytime we were bored on the weekends, we could just call her and be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And we could go over to her house at any point, and or she would come over to ours. And um, she was pretty funny. She cracked me up all the time. She was pretty awesome to hang out with. So,
So she's a pretty important part of your life, and your
oh yeah.
siblings and your cousins and so on. Everybody was really close and so on. So she was diagnosed with cancer, and I know there wasn't a very long time between the time she was diagnosed and the time she passed. So um, how did that time go when you knew, she had this illness, and, were there things you did do or didn't do during that time that, to make it so you, I don't know, more special, whatever you want to say, for during that time when you knew she was really ill?
Um, we before we found out she was sick, I remember her always saying like her sugars were never under 100, and when they were, she was really excited. But after we found out she was sick, we really tried to um to go over there all the time and go out and do things. And when she shortly after we found out she was sick, it was during COVID, and so we had to be extremely careful. Um, we did the whole social distancing thing, and um, she was even like nervous and scared to give Ben a hug, um, because she didn't want to catch COVID, because she knew if she did, she probably wouldn't make it much longer. And so we were really careful. We didn't go anywhere. We didn't see any other family. We really stuck to ourselves. And so during that time, I was also pregnant with my second son, Sawyer, and he was 3 months old when he passed, or when she passed. And so during that time, I remember my Nan would stop by my mom's house while my sister was watching Ben, and she would stand at the gate and they would stand at the porch and like blow each other kisses and um try to catch it. And then I remember one time I called her. I was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Nothing." And I was like, "Can we come over?" And she was really apprehensive about it. And she's like, "Yeah, that's fine. Just like keep your distance." And we went over there, and I remember we were sitting on her back porch, and she was sitting down on the steps, and Ben had come up and sat next to her, and she just kind of gave me a look like she was like, "I'm not sure about this." And I was like, "Well, we haven't been around anybody. We've been at home." And during that time I was working at the Ever Clinic. And so I was like, I haven't even like brought my scrubs into the house. I change before I even come into the house. and Ben ended up giving her a hug. And then she kind of just like, you could see it, like she melted and she was like really happy. And I was like, so she gave him a hug and a kiss. And then from then on, we were over there at her house weekly. Um, I would, when she was really sick, like towards the end, I made her like a little gift basket, and I brought like a blanket, her favorite soup, her favorite snacks, like warm fuzzy socks because she was always cold, sweats, and then I would also bring her dinners weekly as well too. So
So were your I know you have a brother and a sister and some cousins, were they all kind of in the same boat with you as far as wanting to spend time with her and trying to get together? And I mean, I know COVID had so many downfalls to COVID, and this is definitely one of those stories, but was she able to see everybody else during that time when she was sick?
yes, once we like one because my mom would stay away from everybody unless she had to work. Same with my brothers, and Matthew was doing online school. So he wasn't around a bunch of people. And so they would also come over weekly. And then same with my cousin and well, cousins and my uncle and all that. We would go over there weekly. I'd talk to her on the phone if I didn't see her that week. And I think that was the same with everybody else.
Yeah, that makes sense. So tell me, how have you from the time you've lost her to now? I mean, what have you done to take care of yourself and to not be, depressed or upset about things on a regular basis? What works for you?
Just talking about her really helps. Um, I try to like feel my emotions that way, like I don't push them off and they don't like build up and get worse over time. Um, Me and Ben will talk about her all the time. He uses his hand and pretends it's his heaven phone, and he'll like call her and talk to her. And I think I've just like made sure I've gotten myself out of the house and talked to my husband whenever I've been feeling down, or I'd go do her favorite thing, like go to the um Howarth Beach, or take Ben to Mikey's because that was their thing. So um and then I have a ton of videos. And so I watch those and look at videos or pictures with Ben. And then Ben and her would also send voice messages back and forth to each other. So anytime that would happen, I would make sure I'd save both of their ends. That way I can go back and listen to it. Um, and I think just getting out of the house really helps. And like, I still have a really hard time going over to her house. I can't really do it and doesn't feel the same. But I do things that she likes. And then for her, like her birthday, um, we will make a dessert, or we'll have her favorite dinner, and we'll get together with my mom and we'll go and do that for her. And we'll have the kids blow out candles.
Oh, it's so sweet. I love the heaven phone. That's awesome. So I know Ben's going to remember her, or at least keep her memory alive. How are you going to keep the memory, or at least knowledge of her for your other boys too?
For Sawyer, we have just like a handful of pictures for him, and I have pictures up along the wall. And for her funeral, my mom made this poster board of pictures with her and everybody else. So she has that up at her house, and we talk about, oh, like there's your Nan, and we'll point to her pictures on the wall. And um, he's only 2, so I can't really tell him too much about her right now. But he knows who she is. He'll point to the wall and say Nana, and I have a feeling she come like I believe in like them coming around and in the afterlife, and showing us signs that they're here. And I honestly believe like he's talked to her at some point, because they'll just be babbling and like looking at the wall, but nobody's there. And so he knows who he is. She is. He can point to a picture and he'll say like, "Oh, Nan," or get all excited and go, "Hi, Nan," like out of nowhere. So, and then the youngest one is 10 months. So once they get a little bit older, we'll definitely tell them a little bit more about her. but me and Ben, we talk about the memories that they've had together all the time. So
Yeah. No, I love the thing about, I believe personally that children definitely can pick up on things like
oh,
the, the visiting and all that. I know that from my own experience with my own kids that, they seem to sense and understand. Maybe it's because they're more open to it. I don't really know, to those
I
visits,
think so.
and so on. I really believe that because, like I said, I've experienced that myself. So, tell me, what are the things that you miss the most about her?
Um, Probably everything. Um, honestly, like, it still doesn't feel like she's gone to me. I still feel like I'm gonna hear from her at any point, but obviously I'm not. Um, I don't know, but um, yeah, it's just, sorry, the rooster. Um, it's been hard, definitely. So, um, I don't, what was the question? Sorry.
What you miss about her? So, my thought as I'm talking to you, Kim, is about missing someone that you had such a great relationship with, and how wonderful it was to have her in your life throughout your life. Not all of us have that. I didn't have that with a grandparent. So I envy you on some level where I'm like, wow, I wish I had had that. But um, obviously the pain of losing that person is very real. But you get the wonderful memories of what it was like to have her in your life, the influence she had on you, the advice she gave to you. I know you know this, but my listeners don't. Kim actually worked with me. Your nan worked with me, and when I was looking for a babysitter and nanny for my kids, she recommended you and had nothing but wonderful things to say about you as her granddaughter and a responsible person. And I think you might have been 16 at the time. You were young, but
Yeah.
she had nothing but wonderful things to say about any of her grandkids, and it was so obvious to me that she adored you all. And this was prior to when I became a grandmother myself, so I didn't quite get it as much as I do now that I have my own grandchildren. But um, I know
Right.
she absolutely adored you all. I mean, to me, I was like, wow, you're willing to like miss work to spend time with these kids. Can't you see them on the weekend, right? Whereas now I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I would give up anything to spend time with my grandkids. But I think
Right.
you were very fortunate to have some, a nan who was just um, so involved in your lives and really cared so much about you, your kids, your siblings, your cousins, everything else. I mean, family was very important to your nan, very important, and I think that's um, such as things to bring up. So, I would like to know, what would you, if someone's listening to this episode and they are anticipating, they've been given this diagnosis that is life limiting for, someone they care about, their grandparent, or even the parent, um, what would you say to them? You have X number of, months likely before this person passes. What would you say? Hey, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, make sure you touch on this, make sure you have this conversation because it's so important. So, do you have any thoughts along that line?
Um, Definitely make sure you're spending as much time with them as you can. Um, and definitely take as many pictures and videos as you can because that's all you're gonna have left after they're gone. And like, be in the moment too with them at the same time. And so it's hard to be in the moment and then remember, oh yeah, I would like a picture, or something along those lines, because I don't have as many pictures and stuff as I would like. Um, I was always like in the moment and not remembering, oh, I need a picture, or because a lot of the times, like, I did forget, like, oh, we only have X amount of time. She was only given like 3 months for her like first diagnosis, and then she ended up going like 3 years after she was first diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Um, but definitely just like be in the moment, take pictures when you can, like um record, that way you have things to go back on those days where it's just really rough. because there are days where it's a lot easier than others. And there could be one day where you see like her favorite animal was a hummingbird. I could see a hummingbird and then I'm in tears. Or I can think of just like a story, or come across a video of her and then I'm just like in tears, and like I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss her so much. And then like the next day I'm like, oh, like I can look at back at those pictures and smile. So it's nice to be able to have those to look back on. So definitely take pictures, videos, spend all the time that you can with them, because it means a lot both to you and to them to be able to have all that time spent together. So
I'm sure it does on both levels. So I think you've already alluded to this, but so when you're feeling super sad, missing her a lot, what do you do to take care of yourself?
I will, when I'm missing her a lot, I try not to look at the videos and stuff because it makes me cry even more. But I'll look at those, or I'll like take Ben, oh, all the kids, and we'll go do something. Um, I'll go for a walk. I'll just get a change of scenery, and that really seems to kind of help bring me out of it a little bit more. Or if my mom's off work, I'll call and talk to her. Um, all of my siblings are working, so it's just me at home all day with the kids. And so I usually wait until they're off work, or Alex calls me on his lunch and I'll talk to him then. But definitely like just a change of scenery helps, and just getting out and doing something helps on those days.
Yeah, so self-care is very important. So
Definitely.
I already mentioned this, but knowing your nan as I did, working with her and hearing her talk about her grandkids, I just want you to know she was extremely proud of you. She was always talked about how intelligent you are and how you were going to make something of yourself and how wonderful you were. So she was, yeah, she was very proud of you. So know that. I'm sure you already do, but I just want you to tell you from the perspective of someone who worked with her, to hear her talk about you was always like, wow, okay, this is this is great. But she was genuinely
Right.
so in completely in love with her kids or grandkids. She was the role model for the person who the matriarch of her family, who took good care of her family and loved them and let them know how much she loved them. And you were very lucky. You were very lucky to have her. So is there
It
anything else
was.
she
We
was
didn't have that from.
good?
Go ahead.
Good.
Oh, I was just gonna say we didn't have that from my dad's side, so it was nice to have it from at least like one side.
Yeah, no, I think from my perspective, I think she definitely filled a lot of that role to really, especially, hearing how you felt about her and how you feel about her being gone. I think she definitely was very important and you know, cared about you guys so much. But I do want you to know that, and I'm not trying to say that just to tell you that, but I want you to know the things she had to say about you specifically was just so, she was so very proud of you, so very proud of you, and that you followed in her footsteps in your education
You.
to medical assisting. um I'm guessing you were named after her because you have the same first name. So she was
Yeah.
just very attached to who you are and were and how she felt about you. So if that's any, I'm sure I already know that, but
Yeah.
just know that she shared that with her coworkers as well. So she was definitely not someone to be shy about how she felt about her family. So I always admired that about her.
Right.
So is there anything else you would like to share
Um.
about how you feel or how you felt about her or her memory or anything before we go?
Um. She. I don't know. Like, she was always very present. It was always nice to have. Um. I even Sawyer has her middle name. Um. And I don't know. She was just pretty amazing, and I wish that people live forever. And I think that's really it. There's just so much to talk about and so many memories that I have with her that it's a lot. So it's definitely nice to have.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I get that for sure. I do, I get that, and kind of keep it alive in your own head, and but take care of yourself as well. So when you're having those moments
Definitely.
of, you're sad or really missing her, um, again, that heaven phone, I wrote that down because that's such a cool concept. I love it.
I love
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, that is a beautiful thing, and I'm glad you're
he
keeping
just
that.
walks around and he's like this and just
Oh,
puts his hand up to his ear and just having a full on conversation like she's talking
that's
back
so
to him.
sweet. That's so
So
sweet. And
cute.
that's so sweet. That's so sweet. It's not gonna make me tear up. That's very sweet. That's very, very sweet. So, well, Kim, thank you so much for being my guest on this podcast. It has been a pleasure to talk with you, talk about your Nan. Again, because I have my own personal, you know, relationship with her, having worked with her for a few years. I remember what a great person she was, and hearing her stories about her grandkids. I mean that she was she was the model for people who worship their grandkids. So,
Right.
and then of course great grandkids with your kids too. So again, I miss her as well. I'm can't even imagine having such an amazing person in my life for my own, grandmother, whatever. So you were very fortunate, and I'm glad that she lives on with you and your family as you move forward through life.
Me too.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Good Grief. To hear more about my personal story, please pick up a copy of my book, The Day I Became the Spider Killer, a memoir of trauma, tragedy, and survival, available in paperback, Kindle, and Audible via Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online book retailers.